to the psychological part. But what I am going to need you guys to do is stay locked in. I drove 5 whole hours to get up here, all right? Left my little daughter at home. She had a fever. We were supposed to go to Mackinac, couldn't go. My wife's at home, but I want to come up here, support Marcus, and talk to you guys. So my only request is that you stay locked in on me. If your buddy is bothering you, don't pay any attention to him, okay? All right? If someone is like doing something to distract you, you got to keep your focus, okay? Why don't you get a chair? Because that's like you guys are two on top of each other right here. Why don't you well, why don't you move back a little bit because you guys are just right on top of each other. All right? See, I'm helping you out. Okay, you sit right back there. Come on, so we can move on with it.
Let's go. Get back there quick.
Okay. And my whole goal is for us to have some dialogue. So if you have questions, we want to talk about it. Don't try to make jokes. I guarantee I'm funnier than you, okay? So let's just focus on this part. So again, thanks for the introduction. Give you more about my background. I have over 25 years of experience as a teacher. I was a high school teacher in Detroit, where I'm from. I returned to my old high school to teach there. So that's like when you guys get ready to go to high school, just imagine returning to your older high school or middle school and being a teacher and also being a coach. Coach basketball, as a head JV coach. I'm proud to say some of my guys who I coached ended up going on to be college players, and they became coaches too. So the cycle repeats itself. That's a great feeling. I traveled the country as a motivational speaker. Actually, I came to this great city 20 years ago to go across the other bridge to Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, to speak to some schools over there. I've been in this community for a while. Come on, right there, cut. All right? Yeah, because you're looking at him. Come on, man. I'm not new to this. Stay focused, all right? All right, stay focused, okay? All right? And I've been a lobbyist. Anyone know what a lobbyist is? Take a guess. What you got?
Someone that opens the doors.
That's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. Somebody else give me another guess. Because with GrindHouse, you get a lot of growth. A lobbyist is someone who's an advocate. So I worked in the Capitol. When I used to work for Governor Granholm, I would go and I would meet with the other elected officials and help get things passed. You guys can become lobbyists for different organizations. So that's another career path that's there for you. And thanks to GrindHouse, you get access to all these different career opportunities. Now, I was also an author. I wrote a book on athletes and charity. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, about how athletes like you guys can go on and use your platform to promote success. Had a lot of great people in that book. Jalen Rose is in the book. Jimmy King, both from the 5'5". A lot of guys, when I interviewed them, they were in high school, they were in college, playing college football. Now they've gone on to the pros, and some of these guys have retired already. And now I do sports psychology consulting. Okay, I really talk about how athletes can be mentally tough. And that's something that's really important, especially for your generation, based on this thing on your hip, this phone, okay? Because it can really be a distraction. And what I want to talk to you guys today about is how you can let those things be less of a distraction, let social media be less of a distraction. I mean, I'm looking at the news this morning, and Kevin Durant is going in on the media saying, you know, I don't like the way you guys are treating me. Kevin Durant, with his millions of followers, he's responding to individuals on social media. And I have a good friend who's related and connected to Kevin Durant's camp, and I sent him a note about what you need to do to make sure social media doesn't have a negative influence on you. Now, I'm not a social media hater. I love social media, okay? But I had to go through my own experiences too, and I want to share some stuff like that with you too. Okay, so my background, like I said, was politics, business, and passion. You know, it's public speaking. Who was that? Barack Obama, former president. I was fortunate to be in his company a few times because I was able to be involved with politics on a very high level. Then, my passion, though, was always education, sports, and charity. Who knows who this is? Nobody? I got $10 in my pocket. Somebody knows who this is. No, that's not Martin Luther King. Me and him went around at the same time. I see you coming. Look at you, man. You came up. You better look at it. That 10 in my pocket. No, I'm not joking. Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time. So I've been fortunate to be involved in politics, but also to be involved in sports at a high level. But my point being is this. You know, sometimes you guys are really good at something, but it's really all about your passion. Some of you guys came to this camp today and you said, you know what? I made a decision. I want to be involved with sports for the rest of my life. And if that's your passion, I encourage you to drill down on that. Because even though I was very successful in corporate America, successful in politics, my passion was always sports. And now that I'm a husband and a father, this is the most important thing to me. So I want you to keep that in mind too, that sports, if that's your passion, you can do a lot with it. And it's not all about just playing. As you can see, there's so many other jobs in sports. It's not just about being an athlete, because you can only be an athlete for so long. Eventually you can go on and be a great instructor like Coach Marcus is. You can get involved with things as it relates to the physical aspect of it, or even the work that I'm doing in sports psychology consulting, okay? So that was the book that I wrote, Unlikely Saviors. We ended up getting a grant through my nonprofit. We were able to go to schools throughout the Detroit area to talk about how athletes your age can have an influence. You guys got to understand, as an athlete, even if you guys are middle school or high school, people are looking up to you. You got people in your own household look up to you, your little brothers, your little sisters, your cousins, and people always have a certain amount of respect for athletes. So keep that in mind, that there are great opportunities that you guys can do after this. I'm also involved with the USA Basketball family. I wish I could be in Vegas with them right now. I'm part of the USA Basketball Youth Development National Speaker Circuit. I travel with them over the past few years to talk to youth coaches about how they can use their skills to help young people. I'll be in Cleveland at the end of this summer with USA Basketball, which is great. Last summer I was there with Kobe Altman. He's the general manager for the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is right after Kyrie Irving got traded, and we had a really interesting conversation. Even at the NBA level, guys, even at the NBA level, they have to work on their mental toughness. And he even asked, how could I be someone who can help them? What do they need to know, what they can work on? So even at the NBA level, they have to work on their mental toughness. So the advantage you guys have here at GrindHouse now is that if you start thinking about mental toughness now, that's going to give you an advantage. Or I like to say the SPS edge, okay? We'll talk about that. I'm also a member of the Association for Applied Sports Psychology. So I'm part of an organization that all we do is work on bettering our skills to be able to serve individuals like you. And when I told them about the work I do to travel throughout the state and things like coming here to the UP to talk to you guys, all they said was keep doing it, keep it up. So this is really, really important. This is something that can help you going forward. Now, this is something that can help you guys if you can't see it. PD squared, this is something I created. It means player development leads to professional development. So as the coaches are telling you about the things you need to do to work on your player development, that's also going to lead to your professional development. Meaning that when you leave here, when you leave middle school, high school, college, the things that you did as a player will impact your success as a professional. And here's a great example. If the coach tells you to run the lines and you're that person that always gets close to the line that stops, it's going to be very hard for you to be successful in your professional life. So what I'm saying is, if you go hard here at GrindHouse like you did all week long, and if you take these things that they're teaching you and incorporate these work ethics into your life, it's going to help you beyond sports, okay? Sports builds character. It also builds habits. So your player development also leads to your professional development. So keep that in mind. Now, your path to success, for those you can't see, it's not always a straight line. It's always going to be some kind of pitfall. I'm old enough now to know that things happen, but it doesn't mean that you can't get to your goal. Any goal that you guys set right now, there's going to be some challenges in between to get there. So it's never a straight line, or there's always something, but you got to remember, in order to make your journey successful, there are going to be some pitfalls. So don't be thrown aback when you get cut from a team. Don't be messed up when you don't get that call that you wanted. There's always going to be some challenges, and the more things you try to achieve, the more challenges are going to come with them, okay? Now, here's some simple rules that can help you with life before we get into the rest of the presentation. First rule, if you do not go after what you want, you'll never have it. Many of you guys are going to miss out on opportunities for fear of being told no. So if you don't go after what you want, you're never going to get it. It's not just going to show up on your doorstep. Whether that's making a team, whether that's learning something new, whatever it may be. Also, if you do not ask, the answer will always be no. Some of us are afraid to ask for what we want. Well, if you don't ask, you'll never get it. So keep that in mind too. And lastly, if you do not step forward, you'll always be in the same space. Sometimes we're so scared to physically step forward and make a move. Sometimes we're so scared to say, what can I do to make this next move? And fear of failure is an actual psychological term that a lot of athletes experience. We're so scared that someone's going to say no that we don't even try. So my hope today, and my hope that working with you guys through GrindHouse, you can get past that fear of failure. And my goal is to give you some tools that can help you with that. Now, if you can't see, that's Coach Jim Harbaugh. I've had the pleasure. Who plays football in here? All right, good. Pretty much cut in half. These things are universal. Football, basketball, baseball, whatever it may be. I've had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with Coach Harbaugh over the years. And any coach that I meet, any professional athlete that I work with, whenever I'm interviewing them or talking to them, every time I ask them something, it's not to further my career. Every time I ask someone something, it's about how can I share that information with young people like you. So when I have these conversations with people like Coach Harbaugh, we're talking about the next generation of athletes. So this information I get or I pull out of them, and so I can share with individuals like you that can help you. One of the things we talked about, he said every day you make a conscious decision. You make a conscious decision to be mediocre and do the bare minimum, or you can make a conscious decision to be great. You can make a conscious decision to go with the flow. And unfortunately, so many of us want to go with the flow because that's what our friends are doing. We never want to step outside of the group. We never wanted to be in a situation where our friends say, man, come on, man, why are you doing that? But anyone who's been successful has to go at it alone at one point. So if you have to be with your friends and do everything, well, guess what? You're going to be limited in how far you can go. Another thing we talked about as it relates to getting tired, being fatigued, he said, you have to talk to your body and not let your body talk to you. You have to use this brain to control your body instead of letting that physical weakness control you. Sometimes we say, oh, I'm so tired. We had to run so much. Oh, I'm hungry. And these things stop you from going on and being successful. But you have to be in control of your mind and say, you know what? I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to stop. He also said, don't listen to Freddie Soft on your shoulder. You have to brush him off. Now, who is Freddie Soft? That's a fictional character. That's like some little person who will sit right here sometime and say, you're tired. Don't run anymore. You don't want to do anything. You've been up since early this morning. All these negative things that stop you from going forward. But you can't listen to Freddie Soft. You got to brush Freddie Soft off. Sometimes Freddie Soft comes in the form of your buddy or your friend. Or sometimes Freddie Soft is social media telling you what you cannot do. So you have to brush that person off. This is Coach Harbaugh and I a few summers ago at the Sound Body, Sound Mind. You see, we're on the sideline, kind of going at it again. Talk about wanting to be a D1 athlete. You can't tell me none of you guys in here don't have an aspiration, if not to be a professional athlete, but to definitely be a Division I athlete. People talk about that all the time. And there's nothing in here stopping you from being a Division I athlete. You're getting great coaching, you're getting great mentorship, and you're young enough to prepare for it. But there's something that comes with that. You have to train, you have to practice, you have to rehab, and follow advice from people who have your football or basketball interests at heart. Let's go back to that training. You've already got the first step taken care of. You're part of the GrindHouse family. You're getting some of the best training you can get in the Midwest, no doubt if not in the country. Also, you have to practice. Practice. You have to get up and get those shots up. A lot of you guys want to say, man, I was in the gym all day. But what were you doing in the gym? When I was with Coach Calipari a couple summers ago, he said this important thing. How many shots are you putting up? And then on top of that, how many are you making? Are you putting 500 shots up, right, Lance? And then how many are you making? A lot of us don't think like that. We think that just by being in the gym through osmosis, we're going to be a better player. But you have to have goals while you're in there. Also, one thing that a lot of athletes don't talk about or pay attention to is rehab, rehabilitation. Injuries are a natural part of sports. Heck, you can get injured just walking up the stairs, okay? But if you don't rehab, what's going to happen is if you don't properly rehabilitate that injury, when it's time for you to play, what's going to happen is you're not going to be mentally ready to play. Because you're going to say, you know what, my knee is still hurting. Or you're going to know, I've had many times where I've seen an athlete get injured, and I've been with them on the sideline at the football game, and they're not really performing, and I'll go up to them and I'll, what's your name? Kenan. I need to ask your name. You got my $10. What's your name? Casey and Kenan? That's too cool, right? I'll go up to them and I say, you didn't rehab like you need to, did you? They say, no, I didn't. So if any of you guys come across an injury, it's very, very important you do the rehab. And in most cases, that rehab is not just going to be that physical therapist telling you what to do. They're going to give you a sheet of paper and say, now, when you go home, you have to do this every day. Who's been injured, they've had to go through rehab already? Not yet. Didn't that physical therapist give you a piece of paper? What's your name? Brooke. Did they give you something? And you had to do it on your own, right? So you really got to be accountable, guys, okay? And you got to do it on your own, all right? Very good. You have to be like a sprinter. Great sprinters have a way of bursting when they see the finish line and creating separation for others. This is right after spring practice was ending. So what does he mean by that analogy? So everybody's running, but you still got to have enough guys at the end to break away and create separation from other people. See, you're not going to get that spot on the team by just you and your buddy hanging out all the time. Sometimes you're going to have to go against your buddy. I got friends who've been in the NBA, You know what they do when they get that last roster spot? When they want someone to make a spot, they don't have 5-on-5. They go 1-on-1, 2-on-2. They'll put you in the gym.